I might grab a bat, I don't know, my wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough.
All right, welcome to the Fantasy Six Pack 2022 Fantasy Football Team Previews. We're going to be covering the Las Vegas Raiders right now, and with me to do that is Mr. Mike LaPlant. And let's just jump right into things here, shall we? With our quarterbacks.
The Raiders.
Mr. Derek Carr sitting there at overall 107, QB 15, so right there in that, QB 2 streamable quarterback range. Look, Derek Carr is he really kind of took a step back last year after kind of having a pretty decent 2020, right? He scored the highest most fantasy points he's ever scored, 272. Now he's going to have a brand new shiny toy to play with, Mr. Devante Adams. I mean, can this possibly vault him into QB1 territory?
It does give him more hype. See, the biggest thing with QB1 is the rushing floor. And we all know that he does not have the rushing floor. So if you're going to be at QB1, you're going to have to be a Tom Brady, score a lot of touchdowns, and throw the ball a lot.
Hey, Kirk Cousins somehow finishes. He
Cousins,
figures it out, right?
So it's got to be a bad defense, and you got to throw it a lot, and you got to be efficient with it. And Derek Carr is efficient. It's just his thing is he doesn't get a lot of touchdowns. But now you got Devante Adams, one of the best red zone threats in the game. Him with Aaron Rodgers, I can't even tell you how many touchdowns they've had in their career, but it's up there with the greatest connections in the NFL. Which means that he is going to be used in the red zone a lot, which means I think we can boost Derek Carr's touchdowns up past 30 finally.
Well, yeah, we'll figure it out.
So I think he does have the ability. It's just
he's not somebody he's a perfectly fine QB2 super flex quarterback. I'm not really targeting him anywhere else though. But let's jump over here to their running backs here, and Josh Jacobs there, 41 overall, running back 22. Kenyan Drake, 195 and 62. Zamir White, Brandon Bolden, Brendan Brown, Amir Abdullah, just a lot of guys. I mean, Jacobs, we saw him get very involved in the passing game last year, caught 64 targets, a career high. Does that continue this year to help carry that value? I think if that continues, that's actually pretty low for him in the rankings, honestly.
Yeah. I see it going upward. How much of an upward trend? He's not going to be a 100 target guy like an Eckler, a McCaffrey. But if he's getting 75 targets, and with the amount of workload he gets on the ground, his only enemy is health. From being a very good value, because he's used like a running back one if he gets those 75 targets, because that's always been his bugaboo, is the passing game. So if he can, get, because he saw, what did you say, 60-something targets last year?
Yeah.
64. If he can bump that up 11 targets, who knows? Those 11 targets can come in the red zone. The more volume, the more touchdown opportunity.
I do worry a little bit though with Drake sitting there. That could.
Yes, because of the injury last year.
He can eat into it for sure. So that's something you got to worry about.
Absolutely. I think Josh Jacobs is a safe RB2. If you're looking for a ceiling though of RB1, you're gonna have to look elsewhere.
Yeah, probably. He'll have some nice weeks though.
Exactly. He always has those 3 touchdown weeks for some reason.
Yeah. So we got the receivers, and this is where it gets really interesting for the Raiders, right? So Devante Adams comes to town. Obviously, was just the wide receiver one for for years, right, in Green Bay. Now drops to overall 12, wide receiver 4. Hunter Renfroe had a very nice year last year. Demarcus Robinson still hanging around. So just, back over to Adams. I mean, what are the expectations now that he's gone from Aaron Rodgers, right, Hall of Famer quarterback, like probably the best quarterback, best like pure quarterback in the league in my opinion, to Derek Carr, who he's fine, but let's be real, it's not Aaron Rodgers.
It's not.
What happens to the the consistency and just the dominance that
I think the consistency will stay. I think it's the efficiency that's obviously going to go down. The touchdowns are going to take a dip. The yards are probably going to take a dip.
Yeah.
But what's not going to take a dip is the targets. Hunter Renfroe was it may take a slight dip. Don't get me wrong, obviously.
The Raiders they passed the 7th most last year. So
exactly. And you know who led that passing offense? Hunter Renfroe with 128 targets. I mean, I love Hunter Renfroe as much as the next guy, but now you got Devante Adams. I can see him easily being 100+ targets again.
Yeah.
You don't trade a first and a second round pick and don't give you a guy.
It's just the efficiency that was there between Rodgers and Adams that isn't going to be there. And, Carr isn't the downfield threat that Rodgers can, where he's just going to like fling it with a flick of his wrist and it's just going to go 60 yards and it's just going to fall right into Adams' lap. Like it was beauty, dude. We're not going to get those, we're not going to get those, like, just these guys basically like just were on the same page. Like they were like talking to each other in the middle of play, like 50 yards down the field. Like, oh, hey, I need you over here. Oh, gosh. Just done. Like, I mean, there was this crazy chemistry between those two.
It was crazy chemistry.
So,
it's just, I mean, I wouldn't sell him 100% short just because Devante did play with Derek Carr in college.
Are you buying him at wide receiver 4 though? Are you buying him at that price?
No, that's where I'm not buying him though. That is a little too steep for me.
I think there's some guys that I feel like might be a little safer. Like there is straight up bust potential from Adams. Like
I just
for the
think
first time ever
for at least a wide receiver 2. So if you can get him as your wide receiver 11, wide receiver 12 coming off the board,
you're not
all right.
You're not going to get him
I know. But if you can somehow get him there, that's where I would target him. But that's the thing. You're probably not going to get him there.
So okay, so moving over to Renfroe, you mentioned how he had a nice season, target hog for that offense last year. He's a guy who I've always liked coming out of Clemson. Severely underrated in my opinion coming into the NFL, and they finally you got to see what he really was last year. So with Adams coming in, what does this do to Renfroe? Like, is he going to be able to even carry a flex wide receiver? At this point, you're looking at wide receiver 4 value at this point.
I am no longer in as the Hunter Renfroe being the safest, because he was your Wes Welker. He was your who the hell is the other guy's name? I can't think of it. But he was Amendola. Thank you. He was that guy you could just always rely on. If he got a touchdown, hallelujah, even better. But it was just so safe. I just see them spreading it out a little bit more, especially when you got a Bill Belichick disciple like Josh McDaniels coming over. We saw how he ran the offense there. There was not really a number one guy, but they'll use everybody. That's why I think Devante Adams is your best bet for your number one guy, just because you have to follow the draft capital. Because look at Hunter Renfroe. As underrated as he was, dude was a 5th-round draft pick. He has 5th round draft pick.
I think he's proven he's much better than that, but yeah.
Absolutely, but he doesn't have the athletic like a 1st round draft pick or a 2nd round draft pick like a Devante Adams.
He's a grinder. He's a worker. He's a grinder. He has to be smarter and more savvy than you to get it. But it works. I mean, there's lots of guys like that in the league, and Renfroe's as well. And that's the way I always saw him as watching him in Clemson so much. But I love his work ethic. Yeah, absolutely. But let's finish things off here with the tight ends and Darren Waller. Super massive disappointment last year. I mean, we already did the Chiefs one, and we mentioned just how
the amount of hype after week 1 getting 19 targets, man.
Oh man, I was Scott Fish, man. I was like, oh, bring it all on me, man. Like it was all mine, and then just downhill from there. Injuries, even when he was on the field, it wasn't the same. But dude, now he's dropped to tight end 5, overall 53. Are you back in at that price? Just hoping he can get back to I think there's obviously some sort of knockdown because Adams is there, but
yep.
If we get 75% of what we got in 2020 from Waller, I mean, tight end 5 seems pretty nice.
It is. He's probably got when we're talking about a tight end that has tier 1 value, he's probably got the cheapest. He's probably the last one in the tier 1s that I probably get on. But it is going to be a little bit hesitant, only because of Devante Adams getting there. I feel like a little bit of the target share is going to be gone. But again, if you're going to draft a tight end in the first, 1, 2, 3 rounds, and Darren Waller's there, and he's your last guy there, I would absolutely take him at tight end 5.
You want to hear something crazy? You probably don't know this. His target share in 2020 was 27%. Last year, it dropped all the way to
15.4, I believe.
Yeah, that's a massive drop. But yeah, I'm still gonna take my stabs at him if he falls around that range. I guarantee I'm gonna have a couple of shares of Waller. Not expecting what we got in 2020 because of Adams and just the offense is changing in general. But Waller is still
tight end I'm drafting. Right.
Waller is still a premier talent in my opinion, so I do like him. So all right, man. Well, that is it for the Raiders. I want to thank you all for tuning in and watching. Go ahead and please hit those subscribe buttons, leave those comments, that like button. We appreciate it. And make sure you check out the rest of our team previews. See ya.